we should be live on YouTube. So for those hanging out in the YouTube chat, let me know, can you hear me? And also let me know, can you hear these guys? Because my audio stream's different than theirs. So say something, Steve.
Hello.
Yeah, and give them a few more words.
How are you all?
Yeah, it's just a few more words. All right.
Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear everything that I'm saying? And how's life going? So,
all right.
Well, you can go and type in the chat and all the fun YouTube things and all that bullshit that we talk about on YouTube.
It looks like
subscribe, and all that bullshit. And
looks
now
like everything's
off to our
good.
host, DistroTube Derek.
All right. So everybody is heard. We've got also David in the chat. Welcome to the chat, David.
Thank you.
And everybody hanging out in the YouTube chat. Yeah, so this month's chat came around kind of quick because there was an extra week last month. And this went last week this month. I think we had like a 5-week month last week, just the way the calendar fell. So I typically do these on the last Sunday of every month. So yeah, this is not a lot of news this time around, at least for me, as far as it did seem like a slower news cycle than when we're talking about Linux free and open source software. Some of the things that jumped out at me about a week or two ago, I did want to quickly discuss because this topic does come up on a somewhat regular basis, is that there were a few packages in the AUR that were malware.
Of course, yeah.
That were snuffed out pretty quick, but
yes.
You know, naturally, I had some people ask, "Hey, you use Arch and you install things from the AUR, and which I do. It's like, aren't you worried about this?" I said, "Well, anybody that packages anything in any format, if they wanted to, could sneak malware into any software repository. It's not a not an Arch problem, and it's not an AUR problem necessarily. We've had this happen with snaps. We've had this happen with flatpaks. We've had this happen with native packages in like a core repo of distributions. Like if somebody really wants to sneak something in and they have the privileges to do so, they can do so. The great thing though is it's usually found rather quickly. In this case, it was pretty obvious something was going on with these particular packages. So
yeah, but in my opinion, this was a test.
Yep.
Based on everything I've seen, in my opinion, this was a test of how far they can go. Right. And it was pretty obvious that it was, but it wasn't. This was a test by them how far they could get, basically going hard. If they want to be sneaky, I bet they could be a lot more sneakier and a lot more impactful, and this could have been a lot worse.
I do. They picked packages though too that were kind of like popular things people would be installing. Like if they wanted to pick something really obscure that hardly anybody used, it may have gone unnoticed, right? But it's like they purposely picked stuff. You know, obviously
they wanted to see how big of an impact and how wide it could get as soon as possible.
Yeah,
this wasn't any kind of a test. This was a test. This wasn't an actual attack. If it was an actual attack, it would have been worse. And remember, as someone who has done many packages and taught people how to package things, including on DT's channel, I can tell you that
we built Appimages. We've built snaps.
No, we built snaps. We built
no. I thought we did. I may have done Appimages without you.
You have done Appimages on your own. I can tell you that these package formats, traditional package formats, are an absolute pain in the ass and are extremely, extremely problematic and insecure. Like outside of just sneaking in malware, which can happen on anything, there are probably 15 ways I can think of top of my head that I could destroy your system in matter of minutes after you install my package. And the catch is, I can, while I may not put it onto a like a distro repository, how many GitHub packages, GitHub projects have their own repos, have their own deb package in the releases file?
Yeah.
Because, they do not get into those repos, and maybe they don't want to get into the main repos.
I was just talking about app images. How many random app images are just littered all over the internet, right? So,
and like, I'm not going to mention any of the methods because, well, I don't want to give anybody any ideas, because if they wanna do it, they can learn on their own. But like, we know the very famous command rmrf/. That one is one of the most easiest ways to destroy your system, and it can be done via a traditional package manager.
Yeah, but they usually are not. They're not going to typically throw that command in there, because some of these distros, they will like they'll do a safety check.
Sure, but they can obfuscate it. Yeah. They can obfuscate it.
Yeah, so they won't use the remove command. They'll do something else.
They can use a remove command. They can just make it into a obfuscated command. Like, they can make it into a string long, thousands of characters, but at the end of the day, when you actually go down and boil into what it actually is, it is an rmrf command.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And big problem is these package managers install packages as root. That's why one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of image-based systems, because they are built beforehand. So if anything like this sneaks in, or anything that shouldn't happen happens, the system, the build doesn't happen. The system goes, okay, what the hell? What the hell is wrong here? That's the point. And that's why I also like things like flatpaks, things like snaps, because they are self-contained in its own world. There are some ways to escape that, of course, but so you can escape a VM, so you can escape a chroot, and any other container method, because I don't know, they're just software, and every software has a flaw sooner or later. It's just that what you should do for security is mitigate flaws and make it as hard as possible for people to use those flaws.
Well, in my community, on my server, I received a message from someone who said, "Oh, AUR got a malware. Okay, it's time to uninstall Linux. Go back to Windows."
Well,
and that is sentiment because of the insane idea, which some people still talk about, that Linux doesn't get viruses, that Linux is absolutely safe,
immune, yeah, that Linux is
compared to
all
Windows, which is just insane. It's a
nobody said
dumb idea.
Nobody said, I don't know anyone who said, "Oh, why are you using Windows? It gets viruses. Use Linux. It doesn't get any viruses." Mac got viruses. Linux gets viruses. Anything can get viruses. But here's a something I said once that somebody brought back up after all these years. I don't think that way anymore, but I'm like, I was like, if Linux becomes as popular as Windows, that's what I said back then. If Linux gets as popular as Windows, it's going to become as big a target for malware creators as Windows is. I don't believe it anymore, but it's going to be a target, not as big, but it's still going to be a target.
I'm going to tell you a secret. Linux is more popular than Windows, because you cannot think about Linux just as a desktop system. You need to think about Linux as servers.
If you think about it on a global scale, yes, Linux is more popular. But I'm talking about we're specifically talking about desktop here.
Yes, but reality is most viruses aren't created to target desktop users.
No,
aren't created to target desktop users. They're created to target corporate environments, so to steal secrets, to cause destruction on on other systems to other people, whether for ethical reasons or ethical reasons in quotation mark to be correct, whether for financial reasons. And
this malware
desktop users tend to just be essentially side effect of that, and like first target just to test things, because guess what? Desktop users are a lot more likely to get infected than server users. Or
this malware here, it was probably, it was all web browser packages. Like it was LibreWolf and Firefox and I think Zen browser. Like he had patched these browsers and put the new patch, which was included the malware in the AUR. And this is probably one of those things. He just wanted to spy on people that were, see what you're doing. This is where people get their banking accounts hacked and things like that. Oh yeah. So
based on what I understand of the malware they were using, it's a standard remote access Trojan with which you can get a lot of access. The point of that kind of software, chaos rat, like
with remote software, he could run commands at that point on that person's system.
Commands, and the point of such a software is to create persistence inside the computer and therefore the network. The point of it is that you can then spread whatever other malware you have, whatever other payload, the actual hacking tools, into whatever environment you're targeting.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised on desktop computers. On desktop computers, if I had access to most people's desktop, regardless what operating system, just going in their documents folder and just, people have like old tax documents, tax filings, things like that. Like I can get so much information on somebody.
Yeah.
Just, and it's all there. That's people don't realize how some of that stuff just hanging out on your computer is dangerous. I mean, you never think about your computer getting hacked, but But is it that relevant? Like on an absolute scale? But not. When somebody steals your identity, you wonder how they get that information. Well, a lot of times that's how they get that stuff.
But something like this can be used in a lot more dangerous ways. Think about it.
Sure. It depends on what the hacker's trying to do, right? It depends. Well, also how old they are. It could just be some kid playing around. You never know.
Could be a kid playing around. Could be somebody more serious. But remember, if you install this on your laptop or a desktop or like on a kid's laptop, that doesn't mean it will contain to that laptop, that desktop. That means it might deploy on anything else on your network, including any other computer and including phones. And guess what? How many people take their work laptops, bring them home, and connect them to their home Wi-Fi? Hello, I'm gonna get a virus into or rat or any kind of payload into your corporate network. How? By jumping onto every other device in the network, including your work laptop. And when you next time bring it to work, I'll spread into your corporate environment, and then I can start stealing secrets.
Yeah, but I don't think. But I don't think. I don't think the person who created that virus was targeting that kind. His target was that big. His target was more, like you said, for testing purposes on desktop.
Yes, this was a test. This was a test. This was
his packages were only up.
What can they get?
His packages weren't even up like 2 days before they were
less than 48 hours.
Yeah, so
because they were brazen, because in my opinion they were just trying to see what will happen.
The name too. The name was very suspicious of these packages, like Firefox -patched. Like, what does that mean?
But
why would anybody install that? Like, patch for what?
But here's the thing. He was very smart when he named the packages, because they are very like users would install that, even they would if they didn't know what that would do. But patched gives you the impression that, maybe there's an issue with Firefox. Let me install
that. He made it better, right?
Yeah. He was very smart at calling the packages.
That's basic social engineering.
Yeah,
remember, that's basic social engineering. That's not even that impressive to me. Like, there could be way more impressive ways to name those packages to get a lot more effect if they weren't trying to. So that's why I think This was a test. This was something.
If I did, yeah, if I didn't know, if I
Look,
didn't know any better, I would have installed these packages because in the olden days, not the olden days, but less than a year ago, a few months ago, I installed a package called Cursor Patched, Cursor AI Patched. So because it was an app image, and in my mind, patched means, well, fixed to work as a native package, not as an app image. So for the ignorant people, like I was at that moment, it's very attractive to install. Yeah. When you see something like that.
Well, luckily,
that's social engineering for you.
Well, luckily, an app image, I mean, you have to purposely give it permissions to run on your system, which obviously you did, but you know, it's a little harder for
well,
you know,
not
like a noob to go grab one, and they may not know what to do with that app image. Hopefully,
not necessarily. App images are a very weird thing. Like that's why I don't use them, because they're so
app images. The reason there's one problem with app images that I don't understand is like they're supposed to be
beside the creator. You mean?
Yeah, well, they're supposed to be portable, but my friend who doesn't know anything about Linux, he's got zero Linux on his laptop, but he doesn't use that laptop. But anyway, he's like, app images give you the impression that they're portable apps. But the problem I have with app images, like I when I was a Windows user, I used to use portable Windows apps. I rarely installed applications on my Windows machine. I just used portable apps. And why I loved them was because they had their settings self-contained. Like if I had my Vivaldi profile loaded in portable Vivaldi, I would take it to any cyber cafe or a friend's house and open it. My settings will be preserved. But with app images, although they're portable, they don't preserve your settings. You take them to another computer, you open them, they're like a fresh first run kind of thing. So they don't preserve your settings. So
well, that makes sense though, because you know your settings are usually like in a file and like home/.config, and obviously you're not taking that file with you, you're just taking the app image with you, so it's not going to
but they give the impression that's what I'm saying. They give the impression that they are portable when they're not actually portable. They're portable as a portable binary, but minus the settings. But what I loved about the portable Windows apps is that I could take them on a USB, plug them in, and open it and show my friend all my bookmarks. So it's not a portable app. It's a portable binary. The settings are not included. So he brought it up the other day because he's the kind of person who likes to take his stuff put his applications on multiple computers. He's got like 12 PCs at home. So he wants to take all the applications and put them and preserve his settings and profiles and everything without having to lift a finger. You can do that with flatpaks. When you use Warehouse to create snapshots, you take your snapshots, restore them on X amount of machines, you're back up and running from where you left off. So, but with app images, you can't do that. So that's why he brought it up.
Yeah. In our Zoom chat, David was asking about antivirus software that works well on Linux. There are a lot of antivirus softwares out there for Linux. Most of it is for like enterprise and server. And a lot of that is because a lot of those machines also interact with some Windows machines. So, obviously they're scanning not just for viruses on Linux, they're scanning for Windows viruses that are on those Linux machines that could get spread around. So that's why they're running those things. If you're just running desktop Linux, there's really no reason to run a antivirus program, because most of them are never going to find anything that's legit. You'll get a lot of false positives though, because they'll find a lot of crap, especially if you save like desktop email to your Linux machine. So many things are going to be flagged which you should. But a lot of that stuff's going to be flagged as viruses. You're going to have just so many false positives that it's really hard.
I'll give you another way of looking at it. Like in the olden days, I don't do this anymore, but in the olden days, I used to pirate every single game I had on Windows. But
he didn't mean that. YouTube. He's sorry. He's apologizing.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done it in a long time. But
is the stream still up?
Har. He used to sail the 7 seas.
Yeah, sail the 7 seas on Linux. I used to bring my my plunder to my golden chest to Linux, and I was thinking in my head, oh my god, I might break my Linux. But that never happened because I was using bottles, and bottles is containerized. So yeah, I did the right thing, but now I just buy every single game I can on either Steam or GOG, mostly GOG. But in the olden days, I was a child. I had a child's mind, but I wasn't a child. I was 35 years old, but I had a child's mind. So, but I learned my lesson. Like on Linux, the same viruses that activate on Windows do activate on Linux if you are using a Windows binary or executable.
Yeah. If you're using Wine, it doesn't matter. You will get hit by the same virus.
Exactly.
But outside of that, so yeah, for desktop users, for normal users, having an antivirus on Linux isn't really that necessary. If you think you're a threat, your target, if you have a threat, yes. But at that point, there is nothing that well maintained for a consumer user. So what is known as an antivirus, which is a lot less than enterprise endpoint security software suite. So
yeah,
there's a lot of people into the land of the endpoints instead of antivirus software.
There are not a lot of people, but there are a few people I know on my server. I know them from my server. They work for Microsoft on the enterprise level, on the whatever level. So they decided to switch to Linux on their private machine. But now that they are seeing that malware is hitting Linux, they are starting to rethink their decision of moving to Linux. So it doesn't. What I'm saying is, by seeing all these news articles about malware on Linux, is not painting a good picture for Linux, especially lately.
Yeah, but that's more because we haven't painted it in the right picture ourselves.
Yeah. And a lot of those people that are moving from Windows to Linux, they're not just doing it because of malware. There's other positives, for example, costs in many cases as well. A lot of them, just don't want to pay subscriptions to Microsoft. So,
and like in past, I worked with like endpoint security software. So things like CrowdStrike, things like SentinelOne. These are really good software, and they detect a lot of proper things. If you configure them correctly and you have an environment that is in need of such things. But the environment that is in need of such things isn't your desktop system. It's a server. It's your enterprise desktop, not a home desktop. Yes, you're gonna get malware. Don't think you don't ever gonna have malware. Whether you're using Windows, Linux, Mac, you will sooner or later be hit by malware.
Yeah.
Because you're using a computer that's connected to a network.
It's all data.
Simple as that.
It's all data. It's all digital. So anybody can create something to destroy that thing you're using, be it iOS, macOS, Linux, whatever. There was a few years ago, there was a malware released for iOS, macOS, all Apple products that drained the battery within minutes. So
was it mining Bitcoin? What was it doing?
I don't know what it was doing. It was what it did was it went low level and attacked the battery controller software or whatever.
Okay,
Although the battery was 100% or 90%, it was instructing the OS that it was telling the OS, no, I'm at 0%, and people had a hard time turning their devices back on.
Yeah,
so,
that is bad, because the controller then reported 0% instead of what was actually the number.
Even iOS and macOS and these Apple softwares are not immune to viruses.
Nothing is.
Nothing is. As long as it's data and bytes, it's not.
Look, let's be clear. Humans aren't. To computer viruses, like to hackers, even humans can be hacked. Like, yes, you do not use a program, but you use a cleverly worded email.
Yeah.
Welcome to social engineering.
Smart. Yeah.
Like you can get around. Like there is a joke that you can make yourself welcome in any environment, even if you shouldn't be there, by saying hello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By looking like you should be there.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the whole point. Like as soon as these things are active, you will sooner or later get hacked.
The ones that get hacked are the extroverts. The introverts, we're fine.
Wow, introverts get hacked as well.
Right.
Like it's not. It's you will sooner or later.
Yeah, the introverts. All you have to do is play on their insecurities.
Is that what it is? You just have to you go at them a different angle.
You just have to look them in the eye. Like you have to you have to walk up to them and say hello, how are you? And they're gonna go away and they're gonna be fine. Like everybody has a weakness in social, and like you can use that to get around them.
Yeah, and there's another bit of news that I saw recently on Arch, and why do I need to talk about it? Because
it's not a kernel problem again, is it?
No.
Oh, good. Okay. We've been talking about kernel problems for a while.
Yeah, no.
It's like every month there's a new kernel that's causing it.
Well, the thing that happened, and it's good for us distro maintainers, but yesterday during the stream, someone said you should talk about the different subjects from the point of view of a maintainer / developer. So I did. I was like, from the point of view of a maintainer, what Arch did was great. It was like serving us food on a golden plate. They recently split the firmware package. It was a meta package. They split it into multiple smaller packages, firmware packages. That affected a lot of people negatively, where they ended up with a lot of firmware that they didn't need. I was like, you did know that you already had all these firmwares, but they were represented by a single package before they did that move. Now it's a meta package, so now you have the freedom to uninstall whichever firmware package you do no longer need or you never needed in the first place. From a perspective of a distro maintainer, that gives us the freedom to not include unnecessary packages. Now I can remove like if you are installing, I do that now on Zero Linux. Since that happened, I started using that method on Zero Linux. Like I wrote a script that will run during installation, and it will detect what CPU GPU combo you have. And if you have, let's say, Intel CPU with a Nvidia GPU, it will get rid of anything that's AMD based. So now you have a less bloated system. Yeah, you will have less packages that installed that you basically do not need. So it gave us that freedom to be in more control over our over the distro we're trying to offer the community. Same thing for users. I was like, think about the users as well. Like, if you are knowledgeable enough and you know that you have Intel plus Nvidia, why would you need anything related to AMD? Now you have the freedom to uninstall those extra AMD packages,
Steve,
instead of having them all.
Steve, I have a question for you. Why should you care?
Yeah, a new user wouldn't.
Why should you care about having having AMD software if you don't have AMD hardware? Why should you care about that? As a user, why should you care?
Well, I care because that's the way
128
kilobytes. That's the way I am. I care about my users. I don't because I have been doing this long enough to know some people who would say, "Oh, I have this package on my system," and I have someone on my server right now. If they see anything that they don't need on their system, they go bonkers.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why, I try to purge packages that I'm not using. I mean, it does take a little bit to install all these extra packages if you don't need them. And there's a bigger attack vector, and we've already talked about packages that could have malware. If you're not using something, just get rid of it.
For me, it allowed me to learn how to write a script, CPU GPU detect script. I learned something new. So for me, I used it as a learning opportunity.
Yeah. But you know, your average computer user, your average desktop computer user,
that's what I'm asking.
They're going to have all kinds of stuff on their system that they're not using, and they
why
don't
they
care.
Should care.
Yeah,
why they should care about what is essential.
I mean, they don't even update usually. Usually they'll be on the same system for 10 years without ever running the first security update. You
don't know how you
just let those people do what they do. Right?
The point I'm trying to get to is before we started streaming, we were talking about elitism in Linux community.
Yeah.
The bloat idea of bloat is one of those elitist things that shouldn't be in Linux if you want anything to happen with Linux on the desktop, because it is a very unimportant question, and two, it is going out of your way to make things worse for basically 99% of people.
So you don't like strict lines of code for as far as restriction on things?
To me, it's an idiotic idea. Just like it is an idiotic idea to force the idea of using shared objects or libraries for everything, so that you have few megabytes less on your disk. In my opinion, we should be using the Nixos model.
I already knew where we was about to go with that. He was setting that up.
And let's be clear.
When he said that, I was like, containers are about to arrive in the chat.
Whether it be containers, whether it be Nix, whether it be something like that, it doesn't matter. The idea of bringing in things that you need every time is actually a good idea. macOS does it. Android does it. Windows does it. iOS does it. They do it for a reason, because it brings the best user experience. The fact that I have to sometimes contend with my system to get a program running that, yes, it's old, because I have a library that is newer, is just idiotic, and is what makes Linux bad. That's why those of us who are into bringing people to Linux, making it a good experience, basically send traditional package managers to hell.
I just wanted a reason to learn something new.
When we talk about the most important software release here in the last month that nobody's brought up yet, the fact that now you have the Gemini CLI program, right, available in your terminal. Has any of you guys tried Gemini in the terminal yet?
What?
I actually figured Steve would have tried it. I know he
loves... is that some AI thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I don't care. So
you don't care about Google's Gemini? Well, okay. It's not my. It's actually not my favorite large language model. Actually,
it is one of my favorites. But
it is.
Like, by the time I get to using AI, I just open a browser and type it in.
I find Gemini lacking. I actually think ChatGPT is miles better than Gemini.
No, I'm like, as far as models go, first of all, like, most likely, if I'm actually trying to get to through AI, I'm gonna put on multiple models, because it's the only realistic way to get correct information.
Yeah.
Because it's AI, because its AI is essentially statistics of what word should go after all these other words and this other word that is other set of words that is the question. What word is statistically most likely to get here? It doesn't know anything. It is just looking for statistics of what token is more likely to go next. Not a word, a token. Let's be clear. It doesn't operate on words. It operates on tokens, which is most likely a couple of words or a word or a part of a word or a character in case of emojis and things like exclamation point and dot and shit like that. That's what it operates on, and it's literally a statistical model, nothing else.
I don't use AIs. I used to use AI to work on my toolkit, but I stopped like months ago because I realized one thing. Like, although my brother is paying for ChatGPT $20 a month, and he gave me access to his account. But the way they do it, I have the impression that the way they do it is they make it dumb, so you use up all your tokens that are available to you, so you can keep paying more and more and more for more tokens to get to your answer. Because when I used to ask it very simple queries like please check for syntax errors in my script, it would suddenly go into a tangent where it talks about how Python is better instead of Bash and stuff like that. I'm like, all I asked you was...
Does that remind you of something?
What?
I am going to use an example of Linux. You bring up a distro. What is the likelihood that sooner or later in, let's say, a forum post or a YouTube section, someone will go off and start convincing you that you should use distro Y instead of distro X?
Oh, yeah.
Literally, these AIs are literally taught on distilled data from humans. So statistically, likely chances that sooner or later it will go and try to convince you of switching to this language or switching to this, because that's exactly what human patterns by which the data is distilled from it is doing. It isn't dumb. It isn't made dumb. It is dumb by the fact that it's using human data. Like, the funny thing is,
the wrong human data.
No, not the wrong human data. No human data is good enough for something like this to actually be fully usable. Like, for me, the most funny thing is the fact that if you set up a new framework, let's say for JavaScript, because, well, every week there is a new JavaScript framework. You want to know what will happen. AI will know nothing about it. And even if they release new model which has the data about it, since there will be very little human-generated data about it, it will be a lot dumber than, let's say, about React, because it doesn't have a lot of data to go on, a lot of statistics, a lot of weights, a lot of all the other AI things that they talk about that they need inside the model for it to actually have good knowledge, or as I like to say, good statistical reality about said topic.
Yeah, and then again, AI is not human. It's based off of data, not logic or anything. It's just...
Well, a lot of times you have to feed them, new data. If you know that if you know it doesn't have the data that it needs,
have to feed them.
You can, a lot of them, the better ones, you can feed them spreadsheets or even images, and a lot of times they can read an image and tell what's on the page.
The problem is with that you need a good model. That's one of the things I like Gemini for.
Claude is great for this kind of stuff.
No, actually not.
You don't like
Claude?
Because
no, I don't like Claude. Claude is the one thing I like in general, like, it's huge context windows. A lot of you may not know what a context window is. How many tokens it remembers? It's the most basic explanation of a context window. If you have 100,000 token context window, it will remember the last 100,000 tokens, which means that if you feed it, let's say 200,000 token documentation, it will only remember the last 100,000 tokens.
I agree with Big. I agree with BigBot here because
anything more. It actually might remember less than that because each question, or like each what you call a question, or what is known as a prompt will also have a bunch of other prompt things that will go in there, because when you actually, like, in, let's say, whatever tool you're using, when you type in a prompt, or what in reality should be just part of what you're typing is actually a part of a prompt, because what they're using called a system prompt, which goes either in front, after, or your question goes in the middle of the system prompt. So it gives it additional information, gives it, I don't know, things like I am this, you are this, my name is this, and so it can use all that to create the statistical likelihood of what word should come next.
Yeah, I learned all that that BigBot is talking about through using N8N, because when you use N8N and you want to create your workflow, like I created my own chatbot on Telegram, it tells you that how many tokens this will use, and your question will be considered counted from your tokens. So make sure you they have a pop-up that says make sure you're specific in your first prompt, because if you're not too specific, you'll end up using up all your tokens just to get to the result you want to get to. So they have this friendly pop-up in N8N where it tells you be careful, be very specific, and if you want to bypass the limit, the token limit, you should be very specific in your initial prompt. That way you get your answer using lesser tokens.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing I've noticed recently is, I get, obviously, people contact me about their latest software projects that they're developing, or Linux distros they're developing. Like, so much of that stuff that I get now is, hey, my distro has AI built in, or it's basically a AI operating system, or it's this AI piece of software. Like, it's all like, that's the rage now. Like, you really, in the next few years, I think it's going to. I think it'll be.
It's a bubble. It's a bubble.
I don't think it is. I really don't.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a bubble. Like, it will become a lot less relevant. It has AI. Like, remember remember the time where everything had something to do with cryptocurrency.
Yes.
Remember the time.
It still does.
Where,
a lot of
yes, but not as much. Like, right now, you won't see somebody go and make cryptocurrency the selling point of their project, at least for the most part.
Well, no.
Yes, right now it's AI. It was cryptocurrency or blockchain before. Now it's AI. In 2-3 years, there'll be some other.
Well, in the early days, it made sense because in the early days, people wanted to mine all these coins for profit, and now nobody really thinks they're going to get rich mining.
It's not just that. It's like
crypto,
blockchain was a solution for everything. Yeah. Like, in that time, I remember basically everybody wanted to, in some way or another, use blockchain. And
well, yeah,
now,
I mean, blockchain is still a big deal.
Everybody want to use AI. Like,
but it's different for different concepts. Like, cryptocurrencies are going to be around forever into the future. But I noticed NFTs, though, you notice how that kind of died quick. Like, I never understood the whole.
One of those branches that died off. Like, at the end of the day, even cryptocurrency might die off, but the technology behind the blockchain will remain.
Now, too many people hold trillions of dollars worth of Bitcoin right now for it to it's never going away.
That doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, yes, cryptocurrency will remain, but like, the usage of cryptocurrency might go away. Like, I remember that anytime, like a couple of years ago, anytime somebody wanted to make in-game currency, in-game or in-program currency, it was everybody wanted it to be cryptocurrency. because that was supposedly the only way to handle it.
Yeah, all of those coins were all just scams anyway.
Yeah.
When I think of cryptocurrency, I really only think of two things: Bitcoin and Ethereum. The rest of it is just.
It's not just that. It's not that they were scams.
No, but
it was the best way to sell your software. It uses blockchain as a database. It uses cryptocurrency.
It's a good way to fund software projects, or it was, back in the day.
Not just that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that people will more likely to invest in you, more likely to see your software because cryptocurrency was the talk of the time. Now it's AI. In 5 years, it may be, I don't know, some other fad. Like these are like we're going from a bubble to a bubble, and in 5 years, AI will become just a background noise. Yes, it will be there. Yes, everything will be done by AI, but it won't be the selling point of the software like it is today. It will be just a feature. And that's the thing that will change. Like, how many, like at the time, how many startups were created just because of cryptocurrency, because of blockchain? How many are now created because AI? Remember back in the day, in start of 2000s or wherever, the dot-com bubble. How many companies were created, were internet companies? And now that isn't even, or even 5 years after the bubble burst, internet company wasn't a big thing. It was just a implementation detail. So is blockchain nowadays. In 5 years, in 3 years,
those three
also AI be.
Those three bubbles, if you want to call them bubbles, obviously the dot-com burst was a bubble, but even in crypto or AI, it's very different as far as the companies that rose up around all of that, because the dot-com companies were, most of them were legitimately not real companies. Like they were just shell corporations that made nothing. They had no profits. That's why all of that whole thing collapsed. Where the crypto companies though are actually holding crypto. The crypto companies are holding something of value, so they're worth something. And then the AI companies, the AI companies are Microsoft and Nvidia and Meta. Like they're real companies too.
How many companies are now startups are now created like with the sole of using AI to do X? Like
but that's everything.
Hundreds.
Startups die. They don't matter.
Startups die. Yeah, but those are the important ones. Those are the indicators of bubbles. Remember that. Those are indicators of bubbles. How many companies, how many startups were created during dot-com bubble? Yes, they never led anywhere, because at least we now know they never led anywhere because they were just there to collect investment with an idea. How many of those were created during cryptocurrency bubble or blockchain bubble? A lot. We just don't remember them as much because we haven't had a good hindsight look at them. Same will happen with AI. How many companies are just there so that AI happens, so that they can do an AI thing, but in reality, all they're just taking is the investment from their investors using the buzzword that is today's big thing. Like remember, like 10 years ago, cloud was the big thing. Everything cloud was also a bubble. Cloud is still there.
But it's still very different.
Important
because I follow all these companies, right? So like I was around for all these bubble bursts, like the dot-com, and obviously what's going on with crypto and AI related companies. It's very different because these AI companies are spending massive amounts of money. Like building plants and just all the stuff. Like they're actually the money they're making, they're spending to keep
every time.
Yeah, but the dot-com companies really they weren't real companies. A lot of them weren't real companies at all. How many very different.
Blockchain companies weren't the real companies.
Well,
a lot of them.
It's a different model for them because a lot of those guys were just creating companies to generate cryptocurrency and then store it and hold it, and that was the value of the company. Is all the crypto we hold.
Most of them were creating ideas and then going to investors and asking them for money. Like, because we're not here talking about just mining or stuff like that. That's not important. We're talking about things like we're gonna use blockchain to do this thing. That's those kind of companies.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I'm thinking about.
Yeah, those are those are
same
different
is
kinds
now
of
with
companies.
AI.
Yeah.
Same is now with the AI.
I thought you were talking about a company like Coinbase, for example. I was like, come on, they're sitting on all kinds of money, right?
They had the idea we're gonna be a stock exchange for
crypto,
for
basically.
cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But that's a legitimate idea. But saying I'm gonna track, I don't know, I'm gonna store data using blockchain for everybody, that's not a good idea. Or I'm gonna use X to track I'm gonna use blockchain to keep identities. Those kind of companies I'm talking about, like blockchain based ideas essentially. And now we have the same thing about AI. And we had the same thing about cloud. We had before that same thing about
we're
internet.
already on to the next fad.
And
though.
the next thing will be next fad, and we're gonna see an AI will just
we're already there.
Implementation
if you're not already on the quantum computing fad, then you're behind, because AI is like yesterday's news.
That's not a fad yet. That will.
Oh yes, it is. It's getting there.
No, it's not.
Quick.
It's just media coverage because media coverage. It's gonna have to be a lot more accessible before anybody cares. Like before that, we're gonna go to something completely different. Then maybe it will be AI related, but it won't be the kind of AI we have now. It'll be just something different.
I just want Taco Bell to get my order right.
To sell.
Because when I go through the drive-thru at Taco Bell and that damn computer AI voice comes up and asks me, and she gets it wrong every time. I tell her I want hot sauce. She gives me mild sauce. I want a Pepsi. She gives me something else, a Mountain Dew or something. Like, can the AI at the drive-thru window at my favorite fast food restaurants just get my order right? That's all I want.
I have a question. Why don't, if you're so particular about your order, why don't you park your car and go in and order? Like, I never understand. Like, the concept of drive-thru doesn't exist here. To me, it's just a funny thing that people actually are, sorry for the word, lazy enough to not even wanna stop their car, get to the restaurant and buy it.
It depends on the weather.
Some people are in a hurry. Some people are in a hurry.
When it's 110 degrees outside, I'm not parking my car and going in.
The exact same amount of time, whether it's a drive-thru or a restaurant, or a drive-thru or you go in, you're gonna be waiting for about the exact same amount of time. Except you'll be 100% sure that your order is correct.
If you check before you leave, you still should check before you leave.
Yeah. In any case, you should check before you leave. But I mean that you ordered correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have a question.
Half the time, I'm just happy to have any food when I get home, as long as they give me something, even if it's somebody else's order.
Also, if it is hot, I wouldn't even go into a car to go to a fast food restaurant. I would just go into a kitchen and make something for myself.
Well, if you're at home, I am rarely at home. So.
No, I
would just go home and lock the door and push down everything so that he doesn't get in.
Yeah. Okay. Big Pod, we'll see you under your bed. Now, I want to ask you guys a question, and I want your honest opinion. I did ask it last night to get off the AI topic, because if we continue on this one, we're gonna never end. But I want to ask you a question, and please be as honest as possible. And Big Pod, please try to be less opinionated.
I can help it when I'm right.
Okay.
And I'm right all the time.
Okay. So I want to ask this question. Recently, someone asked me when it comes to distros that are behind a paywall specifically. like Zero Linux is. Do you agree that such distros should offer a, if they are their primary work is behind a paywall, should they be offering a free method to try the product before they dive in, or it's okay if they keep it behind a paywall without a way to test it before diving in?
To me, I got no thoughts on it at all. I don't care either way. Like, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't know why anybody would be upset.
Because it was recently brought up to me on Mastodon. Someone said, okay, we like what you are doing for the community and whatnot, but how are people going to know what they are donating for if they are not able to test it first? I'm like, but if I do that, people will grab the free version and never look back and never donate. So this is the Linux community as it is right now, because if you give them a free option and a paid option, they will always go for the free option and ignore the paid one. So I decided to create a script that will allow them. It requires a little bit more effort on their part, but it's a way to get a taste, not to the full distro as it will be shipped as an ISO, but like a sort of a demo shareware kind of thing. Like they get some features, not all, of the distro. They will be, so all they need to do is install Arch, install KDE on top of that, then my configuration on top of that. So I told them, there you go. That's a free way for you to get a.
But isn't that the same, Steve? Because they're still not getting the full distro without paying. So I don't see
not what I mean by
it's any different than just having the payment up front.
What I mean by not the full distro, they're getting the full distro, but what they're not getting is the others under the hood of the system optimizations. They're getting the rice. They're getting a few KDE optimizations here and there sprinkled around, but not all of them. But it's just I mentioned to them in the post, this is just a taste of what's to come if you pay for the ISOs. So should I have done that or shouldn't I have done that? I don't know.
Like I said, I don't think it really. There's no right or wrong answer to it. I mean, it's all subjective, right? So.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you, I think, is the way to go.
It's not extra effort. Like someone said, why are you doing the extra? I think BitPod will align with this thought process. Why did you go through all this hard work? If they really want your distro, they should just get it. Why go through the extra effort to give them a taste? If it's not a complete full distro, might as well not have gone through the effort. They want to test what the full distro is. They don't want to test what half the distro is or what the missing parts are. They want the full distro for free. So I'm like, I wish I could provide them with the full distro for free, but it's my only means of income. If I give them a free version, they're gonna go for the free version and throw the rest of it in the dustbin, in the trash bin, and forget I even exist. So. I can't do that. So the only way I thought about doing it is giving them just a 90% taste with 10% only missing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that we talked about.
You can give them some kind of gimped version just to play around with. One thing you could do, if they just want to see what the distro is give them a way to try it on like a live USB, but not something that they could install to physical hardware.
That's a good idea.
That way they can test it out, and if they like it, hey, if you want the version that comes with the installer to actually put it on your machine,
that's a great idea. I can nerf Calamaris.
Yeah. You don't even have to ship Calamaris on the one that's alive. That's what I'm saying. Don't even have the installer there for them, right? If they just want to check it out.
Smart. That is the best idea I heard yet. Thank you, Derek. That's a good one. Yeah, it's like booting the live ISO in a virtual machine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Distro C, I was saddened to see that Distro C was no longer a thing. I tried to contact the maintainer of Distro C, and he's nowhere to be found. He left it to rot.
Yeah. One of the
Because
best things,
if you boot Cache OS, it's from 2024.
and one of the best things Ubuntu did, 15, 20 years ago, back before virtual machines were a thing, is they had their Wooby installer, where you could download an executable program for Windows, and it would create this kind of virtual machine that you could test out the Ubuntu desktop. It wasn't really Ubuntu, but you could see all the programs that you'd get with it and move around in the menus a little bit. Yeah, hey, if you like it, then go grab the real ISO and really put it on your machine.
Hey, that was the WSL of way back when.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you took me back so far back.
Yeah, now nobody would ever do that because we have things like virtual machines. But at the time, it was really neat technology as far as, how they were doing that.
But thank you for the idea. I can't stop thinking about it. Oh, just nerf Calamaris. There's no way they can install it.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the only thing you would have to do building your ISO is just don't install Calamaris. That's there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that is a light bulb moment. Thanks, Derek. Oh, dude. But isn't there a way that they could image it on the hard drive and use it?
I was going to say, do you package your Calamaris in your repos?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could still install it. So you might want to just remove the Calamaris package from your repos. The only person that ever uses it is you
how would
anyway.
I put it on the ISO? But how would I put it on the final ISO then? Create a separate. What I could do
have
is
it in its own repo that only you know about, and you just add the mirror when you built the ISO.
Yeah. Because as well as I do, there's a pacman.conf for the build, and there's a separate one for the installed system. Yeah. So I could add it just to the build pacman.conf and ignore it completely from the end user.
Now they could always go and install just the standard vanilla Calamaris installer and hope that thing works. That's obvious.
It won't.
They shouldn't, because it's almost certainly not going to.
Yeah,
be
because
a good
my
experience.
config is completely custom.
Yeah, but that's not your problem. Because they're doing that on their own if they want to do that. So
but here's I want to talk about something that's really important, because I just remembered it. Two things. I don't know how the Cache OS do stuff. The Cache OS developers are geniuses, and kudos to them. I have a lot of respect to Pete and Vladislav. But for regular distros, like the smaller distros like me, Archcraft, and the smaller distros, recently something happened with the AMD and Wayland, Nvidia and Wayland, where it was whenever I built the ISO and someone with Nvidia would boot the live environment, the CPU would be pegged at 100% until you boot into X11. But now Zero Linux no longer ships X11, it's only Wayland. But if you boot into Wayland and you have an Nvidia card, your CPU will be pegged at 100% continuous, so you won't be able to move the mouse even. The only solution I could find, I Googled for like 3 days. Look, I searched the internet, the knowledge base of distro maintenance for 3 days. I couldn't find a solution. The only way I could stop that from happening was by blacklisting Nouveau, because people don't know this, but Nouveau, a lot of distros like me use Nouveau to boot the live environment, and then the user is responsible of installing the proprietary NVIDIA drivers. But the Nouveau Mesa driver is out of date, severely out of date. It only supports the 40 series cards. The 50 series are nowhere to be found in the code yet. So, but it's not the problem. Whatever happened with Wayland recently, if Nouveau is active on KDE and on Cosmic, on GNOME, it's okay, it's fine. But for whatever reason, on KDE and Cosmic, because I'm working on a Cosmic edition, the CPU will get pegged at 100% until you kill off Nouveau. So my ISOs and other distros are doing this as well. We're blacklisting Nouveau, on the live environment, and the user is responsible on installing the proprietary drivers immediately after installing the system. Otherwise, if they enable Nouveau again, it's gonna peg the CPU at 100%. I don't know what happened. I can't find any information on that. I figured that out on my own by trial and error. But yeah, Nvidia, Nouveau and Wayland on Nvidia is something's happening. I reported it upstream to Nouveau, but they didn't get back to me. I didn't get anything from them. So I did the only thing I could think of is, okay, so Nouveau is the culprit here. I'll kill it off. But what it comes with a caveat, and that caveat is if they have multiple screens and they boot the live environment, only one screen will function because you're running in no mode set, basically, for NVIDIA users. So you're going to get one monitor running, and as soon as you will only get them back as soon as you install the correct proprietary drivers. Either the open kernel modules or the closed ones. By the way, the closed ones are going to be discontinued as of 580. The 580 release will no longer have a closed source. It will only have open. So anyone with a 10 series and below, good luck. But until then, they have to install the proper one, and then everything will be just fine. But it only happens to NVIDIA users. For AMD users, it's just fine. The AMD card will function.
Well, you know, all the Wayland problems, it only happens to NVIDIA users.
And since I no longer have an NVIDIA card, I cannot keep testing. And I'm thankful enough. I have 2 people with NVIDIA cards on my server. They're helping me, and they're helping me build and upload Zero Linux because I can no longer upload on my internet. So they're building and uploading the ISOs for me. So, but other than that, it's just something that I discovered, and there's an issue currently with the kernel. Yes, there is a kernel news, Derek. There's currently an ongoing issue with the kernel and the AMD firmware. That combination of 6.15 whatever version plus the AMD firmware, some systems with the 9070 XT are encountering a long boot times. Extremely long boot times, up to 1.5 minutes just before SDDM. Right after the grub boot, they're suffering that. That's a regression in the firmware. They're working on it, and apparently the fix is coming in kernel 6.16. So be patient. If you have a 9070 XT and encountering long boot times, the fix is coming.
Well, yeah, I mean that kernel should be out very soon, huh?
Yeah, in a week or so.
Yeah. So, one thing I did want to ask here real quick about Zero Linux. Have you added MS Edit as the default editor?
Yeah. I not the default. I didn't set it as the default. I just added it as an option. And I was a little bit sneaky. I aliased Nano to MS Edit.
No, you didn't. No, you're trying to piss people off now. Yeah.
I love it so much, man. But
why would you put that alias in there? What about the people that want to use Nano? Is Nano not installed?
No, it's only on ZSH. I only did it on ZSH. So it only happens to people who install ZSH, which are very few. But I noticed something with MS Edit. If you alias, let's say, if you alias Nano to MS Edit and run sudo nano edit file, MS Edit is not going to load. So I had to create a separate alias called snano, which will run sudo MS Edit.
Yeah, you got to create a new alias for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. You cannot set an alias to nano to run MS Edit and then run sudo in front of it. It's going to bypass sudo before an alias will bypass the alias.
Yeah, you want to know why?
Why?
Because technically, as far as I know, it loads the bash RC from
the root user. Yes.
Yeah, that's the point, because technically speaking, you are switching to a super user.
You switch user.
You switch the user, then you run the software. There are some things that are loaded as environment variables and passed through as an environment, but most of the time it is essentially just going and switching the user.
Yeah, by the way, Derek, the only thing that's missing in MS Edit is for it to respect the terminal transparency. Because as soon as you run MS Edit, it doesn't respect the transparency of terminal, it becomes all black.
Yeah, they need some theming options.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And me coming from a Ricer, themer kind of background, I want it to be Rice. Specifically Dracula. But yeah, it's the default for those who switch to ZSH because I alias now to MS Edit. But I noticed that only 2% of my users switch to ZSH. Everybody sticks to either sticks to Bash or switches to Fish.
Yeah.
So it's not going to affect everyone.
Yeah, but it'll affect a few people. I'm surprised nobody has complained.
Yeah, somebody asked in the chat, how do we manage our aliases? The way I manage my aliases, I put them in my Bash RC and I just type alias in the terminal and I check them out. If I'm missing anyone, I just edit the file and add the thing. But is there any other way to manage aliases?
There's no real management. You throw them things in your shell config, whichever shell you're using, put it in the config, and like if you decide later you don't need that, you go and delete the alias you don't need. Like there's nothing. You barely play with them. Like I've had the same. Basically, I've had the same Bash RC for probably 15 years for the most part. I mean, the alias will change on occasion, but that document has been with me forever, right? So, but I barely change it. You know, maybe a couple of times a year I'll go in there.
I just have two aliases, two Bash RCs and two ZSH RCs. One for my users and one for me, because for me I have aliases to build my ISO and aliases to build my websites and the builders stuff. That's not included for the users. And by the way, Derek, I have shocking news. I am using Nix.
Okay. Not that shocking.
It's just 1 year challenge, you know. Matt's
which Nix?
Challenges.
The Nix OS, Nix language, Nix package manager. Which Nix? You need to be specific.
The whole of it, all of it.
He's using the distro. Yeah, he's using the distro.
Basically,
I'm very, very, very sorry for you.
No, don't be, because I got it up and running and I haven't touched it in a week.
Look. Nix OS was at one point almost the reason I stopped using Linux.
Well, okay, this is for you, but for me, I just did it for the challenge because I noticed that lately I keep joining Matt's challenges on his server, but I never complete any of them. This time around, I wanted something to stick with for a whole year, but here's the thing: I'm not using it as my daily. It's on an external SSD.
I was about to say the same thing. You're so tied to Arch. You're not really.
I cannot use it.
You're playing around with Nix. You're not really using Nix.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm using Nix until I need to do something for Zero Linux. At which point I boot into Zero Linux and I do my work and I go back to Nix. But it's on an external NVMe, so I just unplug it, forget it even exists, and when the year is over, quote unquote year is over, I will say I used Nix for a year, but actually I might have used it maybe for a month.
On the point of aliases, I don't actually use any aliases.
You like the long form?
Well, in reality, if I need to use any kind of command that I used in past, I'm gonna just search for it using my fish, or if it isn't in the fish, I'm gonna use @win and I'm gonna find it there. So it's gonna and since I sync @win from any system, I'm gonna find everything.
Well, on Nix, because the commands are so long, like Nixos, whatever switch the command is, switch upgrade, and now that I'm using Flakes, I have to indicate my host name and whatnot. I'm like, forget typing the whole thing. I'm just typing.
And you have the fuzzy finder integration with the fish shell too, where you can quickly do a fuzzy finder of all your history, so you can.
I tried using fuzzy finder, I couldn't get grips with it, so I gave it up.
And if I don't do that, I just, if I know it was like, it might not have been on my laptop, it's only on a server somewhere, I just just go into Adwin. So
The only
basically
real
I
problem
go
with
back up
aliases,
and type in, find it.
the only real problem with aliases is the problem that you do run into when you're switching with sudo. Is that none of your aliases are going to work with sudo, and we've already talked about, it's because you technically are switching to the root user for that command. Actually, for those of you that want to try this, anybody in the chat, pull up a terminal, and the who am I command will tell you who your user is. For example, if I do who am I in my terminal, it'll say DT, but if I do sudo who am I, it's going to report root. So that's what's happening every time you do sudo. You're changing to that root user, and that root user doesn't have access to your bash RC. It has its own bash RC. None of those aliases are there. So.
And that is because, or does it actually even load up bash RC? That's
oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't even load a config, does it?
Because
so you have no aliases.
Bash. Yeah.
It just does the sh. Yeah.
That's because sudo is a setuid program anyway, so it does all sorts of magical things I don't want to touch because security. But on the topic of challenges, about a month ago, a bit less, I've been challenged to run Gentoo for 2 months.
Wow.
A month.
I figured that's where you were going to go because of, you and Josh doing your podcast. Yes. I figured he eventually would wear you down.
I've been running it on my laptop, which is a whole load of nothing at this point, because it's my main device I access computers with, but like everything else that I'm running is remote. Like my laptop really contains Moonlight, my browser, a terminal, and an editor. That's all my system contains. And right now it has a flatpak of Zoom, and that's it.
That's if you're containerizing, if you're not really emerging,
no, I'm not
cheating.
Containerizing.
You're cheating, Big Pod. You're supposed to build everything from source.
No, I'm not cheating. Like I literally just dropped Gentoo into my normal workflow.
Are you running GNOME?
Yeah.
Okay, but you built that at least, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I literally just took away my Fedora Silverblue build, which is literally exactly the same. I took that away and installed Gentoo and put it into my normal workflow. Did you compile the browser?
Did you compile the browser? You did compile
it.
Okay.
Chromium was compiled.
Well, never mind. That did take some effort then.
And I'm not joking. For me, like everything, whether it be my normal desktop, whether it be the system where I do development, whether it be the system where I play games, all of it happens on a server somewhere else in the house. It is. It doesn't happen on my laptop.
You're cheating again.
It is my. It is my actual workflow for the last since before December. That's how I started doing things. For a bit of a challenge joke.
But you can't say I'm compiling Gentoo, but I'm compiling it on somebody else's machine. Like that doesn't count. That's right.
Also, I could build everything somewhere else as well, because I have knowledge for that, and binary packages aren't that hard to make. I could do that if I wanted.
Gentoo has binary packages for everything too. You could just go and grab the binaries for everything. Yeah.
Basically, the point is, what I'm trying to say is I can use any distro I want, because how I set up my workflow, everything is remote, because I've been a fan of remote workflows for years. So at one point I decided to go for it instead of theorizing how it would be the best way. Just make it and run with it and see how it actually would work the best. So now I live that remote life. It's the best user experience I ever had. And yes, the great thing is my operating system is cattle, not pet. All I have to do, whether it be I make a mistake, I just blow it away. So it was really easy to reinstall Gentoo, and Yes, there's some building involved, but who cares?
So which
When
one of
2
you?
months are up, I'm gonna go back to Silverblue and that's it.
Between you and Steve, which one do you think is going to quit their new distro first? You on Gentoo or Steve on Nix? Who's going to get the most frustrated?
I won't.
I won't.
Oh. For me, it's just an operating system. It gets out of my way. I don't care.
Same with Nixos. It's just working. I got it up and running thanks to I don't know if some of you know D-Dubs. Thanks to D-Dubs and some other users on Matt's server. But I'm using Flakes, and I got everything I need installed. All my flatpaks are declared in my Flake. So all I have to do when I boot into Nix is run an update and use my software. The only thing I couldn't get running on Nix, I basically can do 80% of what I can do on Arch, except building Zero Linux and building packages for Zero Linux. But
that's why I have containers.
I don't like containers.
You can build it in a
why
VM.
Not? Why don't you like containers? Explain me that.
I'm
going to tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, D-Dubs, before, BigPod, before you tell me I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you why I can't use, I'm not going to tell you why I hate containers. I'm going to tell you why I cannot use containers. Is because I need things to build Zero Linux that containers will never provide.
And what is that?
I cannot go into details. There are things that I need. I need one of them. You're gonna make fun and you're gonna joke about it. I know you, BigPod, but I need my visual dolphin because I need to see which packages I was able to push upstream and downstream and stuff like that. Okay.
Couldn't you just use a directory that is shared between a container and your host namespace?
Technically, I can, but I don't want to do it. It's like you're asking me to scratch my left ear with my right foot. Why would I want to do that? I can just boot into Zero Linux and do my work the way I am used to doing my work without having to do that. So, but the things I wasn't able to do on NixOS was install a complete suite of mkdocs to manage my wiki, because my wiki uses mkdocs. I know it's possible on Nix, but it's missing packages. There are packages that have been deprecated.
Make a package. Make a package.
No, I don't want to learn how to make packages for Nix.
And there's the point. Like that's what made me mad.
I'm already managing Zero Linux. I don't want to learn how to manage another distro. But here's the thing: the packages have been deprecated for so long. They have been deprecated for over a year now. Like mkdocs video, that allows you to embed videos into your documentation. The guy just decided to up and leave and drop the project. But I have a package that I built before he deprecated the project that is on my repository. So I need that. They have a lot of plugins for mkdocs on Nix, on the Nix package manager, but they're missing a lot of essential ones for me. So, and plus setting the path and the environment for Python and all this. We tried, D-Dubs and I, to get Array, sorry, not D-Dubs, Array and I to get something to work. It wasn't working. So I accepted the idea because NixOS was never meant to be my daily. It was a side project, a side challenge, as I called it, to see if
It's your side chick.
Yeah, it's my side chick.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to force myself to learn the whole entire thing for just a side chick. So I'm enjoying it on the daily for watching YouTube videos, for maintaining my Hugo websites, for doing 80% of the work that I do on Arch. For the remaining 20%, I just go back to Arch. It's as simple as that. Why? It's just people sometimes hate to reboot. Well, I don't hate to reboot. I love rebooting because rebooting gets me out of this sitting in the chair for like 16 hours out of the day. Like I've said it, I reboot it while it's booting. I go grab make a cup of coffee or something. It gets me to move, get off the chair. So I don't mind it.
I still can't get past the container thing. And also, second question, why the hell don't you have your distro making things automated?
Because I like to get my hands dirty.
That's not getting your
It's
hands
like
dirty.
it's like asking me. It's like asking a mechanic, "Hey, why don't you create a robot that will do everything for you, and you just sit in your chair and watch it do everything for you?"
Yeah.
A mechanic loves his job because he gets to put his hands dirty in the engine.
Yeah, but like, sure, you put the files together for a distro, but then at the end of the day, what you're doing is running a bunch of commands that will just
I like running those bunch of
ISO.
commands. What's so wrong about running a bunch of commands? I like doing it. And plus, I don't want to automate it because I know you can do it via GitHub Actions, but GitHub Actions will build the ISO. Where is it going to put that resulting ISO? GitHub only allows you up to 100 megabytes. Well, my ISO is 4 gigabytes.
Steve, I
you
don't
can
think,
upload it to anything you want. Like,
yeah, Steve, nobody was trying to take your commands away. You were so defensive. Yeah. Nobody's trying to take your commands away. You still use them.
I know.
Like, I am an engineer. For me, anything that I do more than couple of times a year is an opportunity to spend about 6 months to automate it, which is more time than I probably do that in my entire life. All put together. So yeah, I'm an engineer. As soon as I do it more than a couple of times, I'm gonna try and automate it. So I would automate that like so hard it would be not even funny. But and again, I'm gonna go back to why can't you use containers? Like, I can't think of anything that making an Arch ISO would require something that you couldn't do inside a
I do use containers. I don't hate them. I use containers for my home lab. Docker containers for my home lab.
Why can't you use a container to make your ISO? Like, give me a reason, because I am interested, so I can think about how to solve that problem. Because now I'm thinking.
I don't want to solve the problem. That's the thing. I don't want to solve the problem.
I want to solve it in my head. So tell me what's the problem, because I want to solve it in my head. Even if I don't tell you.
I've got a totally different question. Why not just have a server that builds the ISO for you? You don't have to do it on your local machine.
Because
yes,
I need to, because if I automate everything, I won't be able to. I'll have to come and if I don't see an ISO generated, I'll have to go through the logs. And whereas with the way I do it, I have a script that I run. It's just an alias X ISO. I'll just run it in the terminal. It will start building the.
Forget logs, man.
I don't like to read logs because they're too long, and it's like
forget logs. Let me tell you something. Like, how many times I run things, automate things, and then but if it fails, I do not go and fix it by reading logs. I do it by hand, and then go through the code and figure out what I fucked up. Sorry, YouTube, for using the curse word.
Yeah, he didn't mean that, YouTube.
I literally do not care about logs, because
this is an interesting question.
I do not write logs.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, because the whole time I've used Linux, dating back to the 1990s, right? I can't remember ever reading a log and finding any useful information trying to debug anything. I know that's what we tell people to do. I can't remember the last time I had an error and I went and read a log and there it is. Like that.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I do, but the difference is where I do read logs is probably not software that is like meant for consumers, but meant for like home lab users and companies, because I do that for like server software and shit.
But
not
should we be telling
related?
But like when you go to support forums for Linux, so often they tell you, hey, post the logs.
Yeah,
and
because
I wonder how often
you glean a lot of information from it, even if you don't know. Yeah.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
They ask us for the logs. they're doing the hard work for us. We're not doing the hard work. They're going through the logs.
I mean, if they want them, I mean, I can post them. I'm just wondering, if they, because it's rare in those support forums. Do they ever find anything like if you? The Arch guys are famous for asking for logs, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how few times anybody ever posts a log and then somebody's like, "Oh, that log was helpful." Right? It doesn't really happen all that often.
As Watery Event said in chat, logs are more of a hint than an answer. Yeah, exactly. Like you will find niggle of this is what you should look at, not this is the problem, but it might be this, it might be this, it might be this.
Because point you in the right direction, but it won't tell you exactly what you're looking for. Yeah.
Well, especially on Nix. Like when you add something to your configuration.nix or your flakes.
Well, it's Nix. What do you expect?
Well, you run the switch command and then it fails. Well, you have no choice but to read the output in logs to see where. And most of the time, this is something good about Nix. Better an advantage it has over Arch. It adds arrows and pointing you, telling you this is where the error went wrong, where the build went wrong.
But as someone who like really hates Nixos and is somewhat of an animosity towards Nix package manager and absolutely detests Nix language, well, Nix is just a pain in the ass. Like last time I was using Nixos, I was trying to do things the way I was doing things normally because, I have my own ways of doing things because I am right and those are the correct ways. Everything for me is a package. So I had my own program, which means I have to install it. So I'm going to install it as a package because it's the only way everything works. And it's a container or a package. I will not install a program by loading just a binary on my system. That's not how things work. That's not how things supposed to work. Everything is a package, so it's a manageable unit. It's a unit of measure package.
Yeah.
And making my own package, it was so inconsistent of how it worked. It was insane to such a level. I was just like, I'm not. This thing is stupid. Like, I literally tried to install it. Like I made a file, all the things it does. I don't remember anymore because it's been 2 years since then. And I did ran the file, didn't work. I started Googling. There were like 15 ways of doing it. Tried all 15 ways, didn't work. Reverted back to the idea, to how I did it before, and that time it worked. All I did was a git revert. Not even didn't change anything. First time it didn't work. Second time it worked just fine. It was inconsistent in how it works. It's
I
stupid.
agree. I agree 100%.
That's not how how a system should work.
Yeah,
that's not.
I agree 100% with you, Big Pod, because if there's one thing I learned about Nix, and the Nix people are going to hammer their opinion home.
Hate me for this.
Yeah, they're gonna hate it. Let them hate. But Nixos is such a weird way of doing simple things. You want to install a package, you have to add it to the configuration file, switch, run the switch.
That actually makes sense to me. That's one of the things that makes sense to me. The problem is they have 4 ways of doing that. Why can't you run a command
to install the package and forget like we do on 99% of other Linux distros?
No.
Because they're doing it actually better than most traditional distros. Like, if there is something I cannot fault them for, is using a config file, using a written way to manage your system.
So declarative way of doing things.
Declarative way, written way. It is actually a good idea and a better idea than just typing commands into your system. Like, I'm somebody who manages servers. There is a reason
set up a lot of machines. It makes sense. Yeah.
Even if I manage one server, there is a reason everything is a Docker Compose file or a Kubernetes or a kubectl command or a Helm chart. Everything, because then everything becomes manageable unit that I can check into a Git or save into a bucket. It isn't anymore like some like mishmash of commands that the system forgot, and nobody gives a damn
Yeah,
about it, including the system itself. That's the problem.
There's a problem with that, because I noticed on the Nix package manager, packages are named so even worse than flatpaks. Like you wanna look up
Flatpaks aren't
some
even
packages, not
named
all
that bad.
packages. Some packages like KDE packages. The name of the packages KDE packages dot this dot that dot this dot that. I'm like, oh
Okay.
my lord.
Why is that a problem?
It is a problem, because how are you going to remember the name of the packages if you lose your configuration? You have to go back to the Nix store and look up for Dolphin. The name of the package for Dolphin is KDE packages.
That's why you shouldn't lose your configuration. That's why you shouldn't lose your configuration. That's why you should have backups.
It should be version controlled.
Yeah,
it is.
Probably
right now, because I'm using Flakes, it has to be on my gig, so it's version control. But
but you're wrong about that shirt, Steve. You're just flat out wrong. Your T-shirt, like, what are you doing with that? Come on.
That's my old job shirt. That's
I'm sitting here. I was like, is that an Apple logo on his sleeve? And then I look at the chest. He's got iPhone
it's old.
X.
Yeah, how can you tell it's old? It's iPhone 10R.
The fact that you bought that shirt, though, that's what's funny. Did you buy that, or was it a gift?
I didn't buy it. It wasn't a gift. It was my job shirt. It was my uniform.
Okay.
So, but Nixos is also where I hate Nixos is, especially the Nixos people, is if you use Nixos just using the configuration.nix, they're going to attack you and by swarms, telling you if you're just using the declarative way, you're using it wrong. You need to use Flakes and Home Manager. Flakes and Home Manager. It's the only way to use Nix. I'm like, I was able to get up and running without even touching Flakes or Home Manager. I have everything in a single configuration file, easier to manage without having to manage file A, file B, file C, file D, E, F, G.
Like, as much as I'm like into all that, like I would if I was doing Nix right now, I would be like have 15 files imported into the configuration.nix. I wouldn't touch
I don't
Flakes.
like that idea.
Why? Like it's
too many files to manage. I'm coming from a guy. It's coming from a guy who manages KDE. And when I started using KDE puts every single, like Dolphin has 3 configuration files. Console has 2. KDE itself, the desktop, has like 60 different files to configuration files. Why? Because you got the globals, you got the per user ones, and you got the other ones. So I'm like,
and why are we making fun of Steve's new distro? Why aren't we making fun of BigPod's new distro? Because I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with Gentoo. Like the whole idea of make flags. Like, why do we even have to fool with stuff like that, BigPod?
Yes, why? Like I've been asking myself exactly that since the day I installed it. But then again, it's also my opinion that we should just install it. We should just put every make flag in, which is literally what I then did.
Yes.
Because
which is what every sane distribution does. They build everything.
No, they don't.
They build everything with all the flags.
Arch doesn't do that.
Well, Arch just has. Yeah, there's some things missing.
It's the distro you use.
Yeah.
Look, if I'm ever gonna have to be using Arch, whether for a charge or something, well, expect a very nice repository from BigPod.
Expecto patronum.
But why are you guys hopping to a new distro 2 weeks before Debian 13 drops? Because you're not installing Debian 13?
No,
I did.
You did?
I don't really care.
Okay.
I did, but I did the. I installed the. I installed it in a VM naturally, but I did the unstable. I went the unstable route. So yay! I'm coming from Arch. Hey, if it's not unstable, it shouldn't be on my. Hey, I'm running iOS beta 26 development beta on my phone. So
iOS. Wow, you're still an Apple shill after all these years, huh?
I'm talking to you on an iPad. Yeah. When it comes to these kind of devices, I will never go Android. Thank you. I don't want my phone to die on me just because it wants to die.
How do you maintain a Linux distro, but you don't have an Android device?
Then I don't know why you're using iPhone.
Well, here's the thing. I would be lying if I said I only use iOS. The camera I use for my streams is a Note 10 Plus. So that's all I use it for, as a camera. As far as the cameras go, I'm okay using Android. Using it as a phone, no, thank you. Because I used Android for 15 years. You know what I went through all these 15 years. Oh, please do a fresh install of the OS. Oh, it crashed. Oh, it got locked. Oh, this application refuses to open. Oh, clear cache. Oh, flash.
What are you doing on this phone?
Okay, first of all, what you're doing on your phone. Second of all, what's the price point of your phone? And third of all, how long have you been using it? I used
all the Nexi phones. All the Nexi phones. From beginning to until they became those piece of shit Pixel phones.
I have no experience with Nexuses because I didn't really care about those phones. I bought phones from actually
they were the Android
companies.
They were the think about them as the Pixels today. But
I know irrelevant phones. Yes. But what was the price point your phone was at, and how, and if it wasn't the same price.
The price
same price point as iPhone, do not compare them to an iPhone. Sorry. I am someone who can compare their phone to an iPhone because I have a Samsung Ultra device.
So what you are telling me, Big Boss, right now, the reason I find this so idiotic, what you are saying right now, is like if I went to a country and I bought, let's say, a Fiat Punto for $30,000, and I bought a Ferrari for the same price, only then can I compare them because they're similar in price, not because the way they're manufactured. You judge things just by the price.
What I'm saying is that an iPhone will obviously have better quality components and more time on every single piece because it is more expensive, and they will have bigger margin, or they'll have same margin for a lot while they can put a lot better things inside.
Can you compare? Let's say, can you compare a Samsung that is $1,700 to a $1,200 iPhone? No, you can't, because Samsung is Android. It's inherently it's shit. So still iOS.
Well, and at the same time.
Are we talking hardware or operating system?
They know zero about software, and I'm never gonna touch anything that has Apple software on.
I think we're confusing the operating system with the hardware.
Software.
Yeah.
No, we're talking software, Derek.
Yeah, the software is different than the, because when you said it's the Samsung that's $1,700 and it's really nice phone. Like, it's got a really nice camera.
Really nice phone.
Like, it's a really nice phone. You're talking about the operating system. Well,
the operating system, because it's Android. That's what I'm saying. The price is only expensive because of the hardware. The software is still the same underneath. You're still using Android. So inherently, it's still shit.
No, it's not the same, because it is also, they also are specific version of Android for this phone, but this €1,200 Samsung will be different, more optimized for this phone and better done for this one than they modify the OS. The €300 Samsung, because that one they can have less time for that device, because that means that they have to pay less money, so they have bigger margin.
No, okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, let me clarify. Okay, maybe the OS itself at the core is optimized for this new Samsung. I'm gonna call it piece of shit because I don't like Samsung. But the developers who create apps for the Android ecosystem will always have subpar quality when it comes to application.
Anytime, sorry. Anytime I use an iPhone iPhone apps, I thought they were an absolute pieces of crap apps because like
I've
there is
never
no
had a single
consistency
all
in
my
user
time using
experience.
Apple. I've
For
never had
one
a
thing,
single
there is
app
no
crash.
consistency in user experience.
Well, trust me, I've in all my life of using Apple devices, I've never had a single app crash. On Android,
Really?
10,000 times out of a million, 100,000 out of a million, I had crashes on apps. Sorry, this
Really?
app crashed. Please click OK to restart the app.
I haven't seen a single crash since I started
Different
using.
people, different experiences. My
Steve,
experience throughout my
Actually,
15-year life
again,
on
but
Android,
that is also about what kind of hardware is in it. It's not just software, it's also what kind of hardware it. Does it have very little RAM? Is the CPU so overloaded because you have a bunch of crap on it because it's a weak ass CPU?
I know the problem here, Steve. Is anybody in the room with you right now? Off camera.
No.
I mean, somebody
No.
somebody named Tim Cook, possibly. Is he off screen somewhere holding a gun?
I'm not saying
Team
Okay.
Apple.
Okay. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. I am not an Apple shill. Don't take me for an Apple shill. I am a very old school guy, kind of like Derek. I'm a very old school guy. If something works, I keep using the thing that works. The moment I encounter an issue on whatever I'm using, I immediately decide to switch to something that works. For the past maybe 10 years,
iOS.
no, not less than 10 years.
An Apple.
You know when I switched back to Apple? When Apple commanded me to throw my Android device and get an Apple device when I was working for Apple in 2018. So I was an Android user up until 2018. The last Android phone I had at the time was a OnePlus 6T. The OnePlus was an amazing phone, but I was sick and tired of opening an app that I use on a daily, like WhatsApp, and for whatever reason,
how do you use a phone that doesn't have Gemini built into it? I don't understand. What are you even doing?
I am thankful that I have an iPhone 11 where I will not get Apple Intelligence. But
yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Like WhatsApp kept
that is another one.
Over and over
How
and over
the
again.
hell did they manage to make that work? That should have been a slam dunk. If they had half a brain about software, they should have won AI easily. Apple should have won AI anything easily if they had half a mind about software, but they don't. So,
and to be honest, Google was really late to the game themselves.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you're late.
Yeah, but they're at least in the game. Apple's not even in the game, right? They're on the sidelines watching.
Look, the last time I had to use an Apple device, I don't think I managed to remain sane for an entire day. That
big pod.
How the hell do people allow it to go out of factory?
You are misunderstanding. I'm talking to me. Like in my case, Apple works best. For others, I don't know. Maybe you like your Android phone, and I'm not going to judge you for using that. I'm saying for me, Android is shit. In my 15-year experience, I've never experienced a stable Android system, and I had the best Nexus devices that Google had to offer back then. I had the Nexus 6T, which was one of the most expensive devices they ever sold, and it was pure Android, AOSP, no bloatware, no like Samsung. You got 2 file managers, you got 2 browsers, you got 2 stores, you got
I have 0 file managers. I don't need a file manager.
Okay, that's you. Phone. That's you because you debloated it. That's your case.
No, I didn't. I don't like. I don't have anything like that. I didn't have anything like that on my phone. It literally came basically empty.
What phone do you have?
Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. It came literally empty because like they just put a base image on it, like base image for that phone. Like,
you flashed the base image.
No, it was there. Like literally, I had Google software. I had basic Samsung tools, and that's it. It's like that's how it came from a factory.
I can destroy iPhone in one word: Safari.
Yes.
Bad. No, I use Vivaldi. There.
That means you use Safari.
Yeah.
That means you use for Safari. Did you know that?
Okay, we all use WebKit underneath it all, but
yes,
Safari, the browser itself, is a piece of shit.
Yeah, WebKit ain't any better.
Yeah.
But anyway, I call this argument. It's the argument that will have no solution. And
It got out of control a little bit. We get passionate when we talk Apple.
Yeah.
When it becomes Apple versus Google, we get passionate for some reason.
Or you're like me, and you're just fueling the fire because you can.
No, I'm gonna end it.
In reality, you don't care.
I'm gonna end it with this. Me, as an old school person who likes his phone to work, because of past experience, I can only judge my experience based on the past that I went through. I enjoyed my Nexus devices. Why? Because I was able to flash custom ROMs. There was a ROM for the Nexus devices called Mahdi ROM. Back then, I used to build it. I was part of the team. I used to build it for them, help them build it. But the fact that it got really tiresome after a while, because to enjoy a phone, to me, an Android phone, to me meant that you buy the phone, you wipe the default OS, you flash a base image that has no bloat, no customizations, no nothing, just a base image, just to get it to become stable. Because otherwise, I never had a stable experience. So in my experience, for me, for my needs, iOS answers all that, even on beta. I am on iOS 26 beta, and what they did on the iOS 26 beta is something I never expected. It was like out of left field for me. There was a icon theme back in the jailbreak days on iPhone called GlassClart. Basically, they brought GlassClart, but system-wide. What I'm talking about is the liquid glass. So if you look at my home screen, it's clear. That's the icon theme I used to use in the olden days on my iPhone and my Android.
I remember that thing.
Started on liquid glass. Don't get me started on liquid glass.
Okay, I'm not gonna get you started. I'm just saying that
on the podcast.
Yeah, it's something that made me so happy. I never jump of joy. But this time I went on my bed and I started jumping like a kid, like a 6-year-old kid, because I never thought Apple would bring GlassClart system-wide. I am like, awesome.
First of all, it doesn't even look good. Second of all, the way they presented it on the conference was so fucking cringy and so
Yeah, I agree with that. The way they presented it is not great. They need to learn how to present.
But at least they had great transitions. That's why I watch Apple conferences, for the transitions.
Well, for me, I was just happy to see GlassClart be system-wide, because on my Android and my iPhone, I used to use that thing because I was a big fan.
So, something I want to say. Oh yeah, use whatever works for you.
I use whatever works for me.
What I mean when I don't play a caricature. Like, use what works for you, whether it be a phone, whether it be an operation, whether it be a browser, whether it be an editor, doesn't matter. Use what works for you. That's the actual.
Exactly.
Outside
and
of
for
caricature.
Me, iOS works. But don't get me started on Mac OS. Mac OS is the worst thing. No, for me,
I think we'll all agree on that.
But yeah, at the same time, I have to say this. How the hell does a company that makes such good hardware, and I mean hardware-wise, they are geniuses. How the hell can they hire a couple of good software people? Because no matter what, their software, whether it be iPhone, whether it be on macOS, whether it be, I don't know, iPad OS, whatever the fuck, why the fuck is their software so shite? compared to anything else. Like,
they did try to hire Linus Torvalds years ago, and that was the right idea. They just didn't offer him enough.
Speaking of hiring, did you know that Meta is stealing all the AI, biggest AI developers from Apple?
Sure.
Well, that's what they all those companies do. They they poach each other's talent. I mean, that's smart.
That's the constant thing. Remember, the people who, which one it was? I don't remember. Windsurf or which one are now like at 5 different companies making basically the same thing or something like that. I don't even remember anymore. Like somebody are Google or Bear or like that's that kind of movement in tech industry is completely normal. Don't pretend it's not, because like moving that kind of laterally or even going up to a different company in Silicon Valley is nothing. Literally nothing.
I mean, if you got deep pockets, and Meta's got deep pockets, I mean, they can pay for any developer they want. They can pay them. Hey,
it's not just that. That's
give us a number and come work for us.
Remember, most average time of an engineer at a Silicon Valley software company is 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I can imagine too, because those guys are worked hard.
So it's very likely that either they are going to another startup or they're going to a big tier company.
Yeah.
So they are likely to be actually like, so it has to, sooner or later they have to go to Microsoft, they have to go to Google, they have to go to Meta, they have to go to Amazon. Sooner or later they will go there. Of course, if they are like creator of a big time startup, of course they're gonna be sooner or later asked by, I don't know, Meta to join their company and help them create something. Of course, that's normal.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention, like, okay,
hey Steve, let's get a last word from you. So make this your last word, because I'm on a time schedule. I actually have to go to a funeral home for a visitation here in a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, this is my last word. It's going to be very short anyway. It's, if you use an iPhone and you use Linux, it doesn't go together. But if you want to back up, or you want to restore, or you want to fix your phone, no luck there. Forget it. If you have
Android works great on Linux. Okay.
Yeah, if you have an Android, then you are okay on Linux, or vice versa. But if you have an iPhone, I cannot get my iPhone to. I cannot use my iPhone as a webcam because it's not communicating with Linux. So in that case, yes, I agree. You need an Android if you're using Linux.
Yeah, I've never tried the webcam thing with any of my phones. So but I could
see how that would be a problem. I have no choice but to use my phone as a webcam because I can't afford a normal camera. But and with that, thank you for an awesome podcast.
Yeah, entertaining as always. Big Pod, give us the last word, sir.
As always, first an advertisement. Check out No Tax Allowed podcast on YouTube or Taxbase. We are, podcast. We talk tech and talk Linux. And I have a message for Steve. Buy yourself a real phone.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
All right. David, would you like to give us the last word, sir?
Oh, sure. Great listening to you guys.
All right.
Be looking forward to the next one.
Thank you for hanging out with us, and I want to thank all the folks in the chat too. We had some good questions and comments and discussions going on in the YouTube chat as well. Thank you guys for hanging out. Also want to thank all the patrons that weren't here with us today on camera. So I'm going to show some cards on the screen, some names, all these guys. Great ladies and gentlemen that help support my work. Other than that, Big Pod, Steve, David, wave bye to YouTube.